Once you've gone completely around with your 15s once, this is what you'll have. Now you're going to have to work really hard to keep your stone centered and in that encasing. Once you've come around, you want to step up and do one more row of 15s. And as you do this row, really make sure you hold that stone into place and pull really good and tight so it'll start laying over your stone. So as I work and add my row of 15s, I'm holding the stone in place. And I'm really working and trying to keep the stone in its setting. And as I work, I'll just continue to turn and hold, and as I pull, I'm pulling really good and tight. Because you'll want it to cup over the sides just like it's doing here. And as I work around, I'm just going to pull the encasement over the stone and continue to stitch. Now if you come around to a corner as you're stitching and you're having a really hard time getting it to lay over like it needs to, like I just had a really hard time with this corner right here, basically what I did was I took my needle, or I took my hand and I pushed the cover over as far as I could, and as I stitched I just pulled as tightly as I could to bring it up, so that way when I flipped it over it looked right. And so you'll just continue pulling it good and tight as you work. And now as you can see, I mean I'm pulling very, very tightly, and that's what you want. You want to pull it good and tight, so that way it will pull that encasement where it needs to be. Okay, so you're just going to continue to work the rest of the way around there, adding that row of 15s. Once I've gone all the way around and I get ready to add this last 15 here, I'm going to go through the last 15 of my row, and then I'm going to go up through the very first 15 that I added in the second row. So I'm going through the last bead and then going through the first bead of the second row to do my step up. Now at this point, I'll flip it over and I'll look at the stone and make sure that it's even and it looks good. If it's not even, you can kind of take and move it around a little bit and you'll be good to go. Now, if you actually wear this, if you run your finger along the edges, it sticks up. We don't want it to stick up. So what I do is I pick up 3 15s at this point. I'm coming out of my very first 15 that I added. I'm going to skip a 15 sticking up and then go through the next 15 sticking up. And what this is going to do, once you pull it, you can press it down and it will lay down on its own, and you will be able to make one more reinforcement layer, but you're also making all these little ones sticking up, you're making those lay down. So I'm coming out of a 15, I'm going to skip one sticking up, and then I'm going to go through the next one sticking up. And I'm just going to do this all the way around, picking up 3 15s, skipping one on the base, and then going through the next one. And you'll go all the way around doing your little rows of 3 15s. Once you've gone all the way around, this is what it'll look like. You'll have a very nice, finished, smooth piece. Now when I got around to the end here, I only have one little bead left, and I don't have enough room to make a whole nother little loop. So what I normally do is, it doesn't look, it's not looking bad, and if I add too many beads, it's going to look bad. So what I do is I just leave that little tiny space right there and don't worry about it. And then I'm ready to make my bell for it. Because for this particular one, you could make it out of a ring if you wanted to, and that would be absolutely beautiful. The only thing you'd have to really be careful about is the coating on the back of it. Or you could add a bell here at the top to, so you could hang it off of a necklace. It's completely up to you. How I would do it if I was going to make a bell is I would take my needle and I would stitch to whichever way you want it, because you could, wear it, of course, like this, or up and down like this. So what I'll do is I'll take my needle and I'll kind of, like if I'm going to wear it like up and down, I will find a bead that is directly in the center. And I will stitch the needle to that bead. And remember, you have to go through the beads to get there. You can't just take your needle and go through a bead. And I'm using a matte finished bead, so it's a little bit harder to get my needle through these little tight spots. If you use a shiny finished bead, it's not so hard. Okay, so I'm coming out of one of my beads here near the top, and I want to make a simple peyote stitch bell to hang this from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up one seed bead. I'm coming out of this bead here. So I'm taking up one seed bead and I'm going to go straight through the next seed bead of that row. And again, if you use the shiny bead, you won't have trouble getting through there too bad. Okay, so that pops one bead into place. Now I'm going to pick up one bead and I'm going to come back through that one bead that I just added. And then I'll pick up one size 11 Delica, go through the one I just added, going back the other way. And make sure they stack on top of each other, because what you're doing is you are making a single little row there of peyote stitch to make your bell with. Now, how many beads you will want to add is completely up to the size bell you want. I made one of these for a gift this week, and I made a pretty large size bell because I did a multi-strand crystal and seed bead necklace to go with it. If you're just going to put this on a little piece of cording or something like that, you won't need a large bell at all. So you'll just stitch through, and when you think you've got enough, what you can do is fold the bell over to where the base meets the base and look and see what you've got. As you can see here, I hardly have anything, so I've got to keep going for just a little while. Not too long. These rectangle shapes we carry have 9 different custom coats to them, so you can get these in some beautiful, beautiful colors to do some real fun stuff with. So once you've got what you think is the appropriate size bell here, then you will fold over as so, and then you'll want to kind of lay, if I lay these back right here, you can see a little bit. I ended with one sticking out on this side here, and this one is the inner one. Here on the actual base, this one is sticking out too. So I might want to add one more bead here to actually finish that, so that when I lay it over, it'll be right on each side. So I'm going to stitch my base a little bit more.